A car sits parked on a dark roadside. In the back seat, a young girl drinks with two men. "She's all yours," one tells the other. And in that instant, the windows hum shut and the locks click into place. Panic floods her face as she realizes what's happening. Years later, a car winds toward an isolated vacation rental, deep in nowhere. Behind the wheel is Joe, a chatty driver. In the back, Emma Barrett, quiet and guarded. Joe can't help but pry. Why is she traveling alone? Emma explains. Her husband is joining her tomorrow for a weekend getaway. They arrive at a house ringed by neat, deliberate rows of trees. Joe mentions he hunts around here often, yet somehow never knew this place existed. Before he drives off, he angles for a bigger tip, a little too desperate for it. Emma obliges. Once alone, she keys in the door code and disarms the alarm. The house reveals itself as strangely fortified. Reinforced windows, heavy magnetic bolts sealing the front door. She inspects everything: the kitchen, the phone line, a house rulebook tucked away like an instruction manual for guests. One door down the hall is locked. She lets it go and settles into another room to unpack. That evening, she swins, showers, and a sudden knock sends her heart into her throat. On the doorstep, a dozen roses and a note. She brings them in, locks up, and pours a glass of wine to unwind. A spill sends her to the kitchen island, where she notices something odd, a gap between floor and table. Flashlight in hand, she traces where water seems to be draining to, until her ringing phone pulls her away. She lets it go to voicemail. Headlights sweep the driveway instead. Her husband, Henry, a day early. There's no warmth in her reaction to his early arrival. Odd, given they're here to celebrate 9 years of marriage. Henry asks about her trip. She admits, sheepishly, that she left her notebook behind in Joe's car. Wine flows in the backyard, and cracks in their marriage start to show. When Henry reaches for her, Emma pulls back, blaming the cold. The truth is colder still. Intimacy between them has quietly died. Inside, over whiskey, Henry mentions his first marriage, a woman named Emily, and a son, 9 years gone. Emma suddenly can't get her charger to work, dizziness creeping in. Henry, feeling the same fog settle over him, helps her to bed before they both succumb to sleep. In the dark, the security light flips from red to green. Someone is inside. A masked figure moves through the room, changes Emma's clothes, and readies a syringe. Morning. A rose rests where Emma's phone used to be, beside a note and 2 cups of coffee. She barely registers it until she looks down and realizes she's dressed in a nightgown that isn't hers. Henry, groggy, brushes it off at first, but the note beside the coffee wishes them a happy anniversary in handwriting neither of them wrote. Their phones are gone. Neither of them sent flowers. Henry checks the wardrobe. The clothes inside aren't his either. They make a break for the car, only to find the keys missing. A rustle in the trees sends Henry outside to investigate, while Emma bolts the door behind him and grabs the landline. A voice answers instead of a dial tone. "Obey us." The television flickers on, cycling through camera feeds of every room, including footage from the night before. They are being watched, and have been the whole time. Henry stumbles back inside, bleeding from the head, jumped by someone he never saw. The phone rings again. The same voice lays out the rules. They are not to leave. It knows everything. Obedience, it insists, is their protection. When they test that by trying to break a window, the house fights back. Grates slam down over the glass, and Emma cries out, clutching her ear where a strange device has been fitted. Henry spots a hidden camera in the smoke detector and reaches for it, only to be dropped by a jolt from a matching device of his own. The voice frames obedience as the path to happiness and steers them toward the bedroom, coaching Henry through old-fashioned chivalry. Open the door, and Emma thank him with a smile. They change into 1950s-style clothing. Emma is put to work in the kitchen. Henry is told to retrieve a hidden laptop and sit beside her. With no way online, Emma chops asparagus on repeat, while Henry opens a file that turns his stomach. Screenshots of messages between Emma and another man. Forced to read them aloud, his hands shake as she keeps cooking. The voice offers its justification. Love doesn't delight in evil, but rejoices in truth, even when the truth hurts. Then comes the video. Emma, in bed with a man named Ryan. Henry tries to storm out. The voice orders him to stop, and dinner proceeds in silence and fury. Emma insists it's over, apologizes. Henry, gutted, connects the dots to the night she turned him down. Back in the bedroom, the voice forces them to dance to footage of their own wedding. Henry resists. The device fires again. Then the voice pushes further, toward intimacy Emma clearly doesn't want. Henry breaks first, refusing outright, and the shock that follows drops him bleeding from the ear. As Emma tends his wound, he asks why she never told him to stop. Her answer reaches back to the film's opening. She was assaulted as a girl and learned early that silence felt safer than speaking up. Henry, shaken, promises to protect her from now on. For a moment, it almost looks like healing.
ring. Static breaks over the gate intercom. It's Joe, holding Emma's forgotten notebook, trying to return it. She and Henry pound on the door, but he's too far to hear. Emma flashes a light through the peephole and finally catches his attention, only to watch someone drag him away as he tries to climb the gate. It hits her. If their captor is busy with Joe, no one's watching the monitors. She tests the smoke detector camera. No shock, she's right. Henry worries she's pushing her luck, but Emma remembers the hidden gap beneath the kitchen island and climbs down to search it. There's nothing useful below and no way out. Henry hears footsteps. Someone's back in the house. The masked intruder hauls Emma out, triggers her device from a wrist control, and injects her with something that puts her under. She wakes in another period dress, to another shock waiting in the living room. Ryan, unconscious and tied to a chair. She moves to free him. The voice warns her off. Ryan comes to in a panic, spots a knife nearby, and turns on Henry, and the two men's history spills out. Ryan had the affair with Henry's wife. If she was so happy with you, he spits, why did she end up in bed with me? Henry lunges for the knife, ready to use it, but the voice stops him cold and hands the choice to Emma instead. Kill Ryan or Henry dies. She refuses, so the voice shocks Henry into collapse to make its point. Cornered, Emma drives the knife into Ryan, killing him after an agonizing hesitation. Later, grieving in her room, she's handed a glass of whiskey by Henry, who leaves to clean up. Reaching for it, she remembers. The first night's drinks were spiked the same way. She fakes a phone call to Henry, aware the cameras are always watching, then quietly pours the whiskey out beneath the nightstand, out of camera range. When the masked man checks in, she plays unconscious. The moment he's gone, Emma calls for Henry and discovers the room that was locked on day one now stands open. Behind a false closet wall is a hidden control room, a whiskey glass, a bank of monitors, and an old-style television that's actually streaming live surveillance. Here, the truth surfaces. This house belongs to a cult calling itself the Eden Group, a service that promises to correct wayward wives, teaching them obedience and domestic devotion to save failing marriages. Testimonials play from past clients, swearing their weekend saved their relationship. Then Emma finds the footage that breaks her. Henry dumping out his own drugged whiskey the first night. Henry changing her clothes while she slept. Henry faking his head wound, helping bring Ryan into the house. Her husband built this. Checking the monitors, she sees him and the masked host hauling Ryan's body, heading straight for her. She scrambles out, feigning unconsciousness again. Henry and the host talk casually about using the footage of Emma's kill as fresh leverage over her. Task complete, Henry carries her to the car, but the keys aren't where he thinks. Emma lifted them from the hidden room earlier. While the men search the house for them, she slips into the driver's seat. Remembering the shock the device could deliver, she uses the key to pry it out from behind her ear. She's about to start the engine when the host appears. She fights him off and runs into the fields. She trips. He moves to trigger her device, only to realize it's gone. Using the fake blood Henry staged earlier, she throws him off her trail, then catches him with a shovel. He stumbles back, cracks his head on a branch, and dies. Emma retrieves the keys and strips the control device from his wrist, just as Henry arrives.
She plays victim, claims she was attacked. Henry nearly buys it until he notices blood at her ear and realizes she pulled her own device. He talks her into going back inside for their things. Once in, she tries to shock him with the recovered device, but he's already removed his own. He attacks, slamming her to the ground. She fights back, striking his groin and raking his face with her wedding ring, then flees to the kitchen. He catches her and stabs her leg. She breaks a whiskey bottle over his skull to buy another escape. She makes it to the hidden room and grabs the sonic shocker injector. When Henry finds her, she uses it on him instantly. He throws her down anyway, insisting everything he did was for her. Even considers finishing her off with the device, until her apology makes him hesitate. In that pause, Emma seizes the leader's own shocker and drives a fatal pulse through his skull, frying his brain where he stands. She drops the device into a cup of whiskey, slides off her wedding ring, and drives away as the sun comes up. Down the road, she spots a wrecked car, Joe's. He's alive, dazed, and grateful when she stops to help. He calls her Mrs. Barrett. She corrects him gently, just Emma.